Hey guys, this is Chanel Beller and Ashley Thompson of Ashley Creative. We're on here a few minutes early just so that we can have time to allow everyone to come on. Ashley, you want to say anything before everybody gets on here?
Hey, I'm so excited to be on as your first official interview for paid, and I'm excited. Have
Yeah.
me.
So, a fun fact, Ashley is my cousin, and I've known her since she was a little girl, but that's not why she's on here. She's on here because she's super, super successful at what she does and very creative and very innovative. And I think you guys can learn a lot from her. And she's obviously a lot younger than me, but she has been incredibly successful in a relatively short amount of time in her own business. And so I'm super, super pumped for her to share with you guys some of the things that she's done and is doing. And I think that you guys will get a lot of information from that. For those of you that don't know what paid is pivot, adapt, innovate daily. And ultimately, if we continue to do those things in our business, we will continue to get paid, hopefully. and so my goal is each week to have a different guest in a different business, a different industry, if you will, because we can all learn from each other. That's the idea. And then also to spotlight local business owners because Vegas does it really well in supporting each other. And I think if we continue to do that, we'll come out of this stronger. The best analogy that I have is right now, I feel like we're in a slingshot. We've been pulled back only to be propelled that much further forward because we've had to become really innovative, really creative. We've had to adapt quickly. And I always say, if you're not learning and growing, you're shrinking. And right now, we are learning and growing a whole lot at a very rapid pace. So that's kind of the thought behind paid. And if you know anyone that is a business owner that would be interested in coming on the show, send them my way. I'll have my information all over my pages, and you know how to get a hold of me. But for those of you that don't, my telephone number is 702-510-9810. That's my personal cell phone number and my business cell phone number. So you can call or text that number anytime. And that's kind of the premise of the show. So excited to have Ashley here, and we'll get started in just a few minutes. My clock says 10:56, so we'll allow just a few more minutes. Ashley, just so you guys know, is a brand new mommy, and to
10 weeks
Blake.
old today. Isn't that
How old?
crazy? 10 weeks today.
Oh my gosh.
I know, time is flying.
And another fun fact, we live in the same neighborhood, and I saw Blake the day he was born, and then all of this pretty much happened. And so now I get to see when she's walking around the neighborhood, I get to glance from far away into the stroller. And I don't even get to blow a kiss. It's lame.
I know, it's horrible. It's
So
so sad, but I'm glad we do live in the same neighborhood so I can see you for a second.
yes. Oh, man. So we were talking. Ashley said it's the first time she's cut her hair in 2 months.
Honestly, I think the last time was with newborn photos, and that was, I think, 3 weeks after Blake was born. So like over a month and a half ago. And then for makeup, unless a conference call, I'm not wearing makeup or a video call.
Yeah, I've throughout this time we've been working a lot from home. I still go into the office occasionally as needed, but I've tried really, really hard to keep my routine, and I think that's been important for me. So I get up, I take a shower, I do my makeup. I might not do as much makeup, but I do my makeup and I get dressed. Now I don't get dressed as much as I would for work, but I'm definitely
getting
not
out of
doing
your pajamas.
Zoom mullet. Like I'm not business on the top, pajamas on the bottom.
I have to say that too. I did curl the back of my hair today too. It's not just so
not the two front pieces. I'm gonna
it's
try
not
that.
Just the front pieces. I had a friend who actually in
but today
oh, go ahead.
Today I actually am fully dressed for work, and I feel like a big girl again now.
Right. I know. I work from home usually, as you know. So I got into a routine, and I was in that routine before baby, now baby, and then a pandemic on top of it. I'm like, okay, I don't know what's normal anymore.
I
But
don't think
eventually,
there is a normal.
yeah,
I
no,
keep talking to my clients and saying, I don't think there's not going to be a new normal, if you will. There will be a pre-pandemic and a post-pandemic.
definitely.
It
Yep.
will never go back to the way it was. There just will be
Mm-mm.
a new way of doing business and new procedures and things like that. At least that's my
Mm-hmm.
take.
I do too. Like, I don't foresee people shaking hands as much as they used to, or, doing those simple things that were just something that we automatically did. I just don't think that's
Customary.
going to happen anymore. Yeah. But, air kisses, maybe we'll throw in a little bit of Italian vibes in there and give air kisses. I don't know, but we'll make
Yeah.
do.
My favorite meme, though, is the one that I can't wait for this to be over so I can hug you so hard and long it's awkward.
So awkward. So awkward. I can't wait for awkward hugs. It's
Yes.
going to be really long and really uncomfortable, but I can't
Uncomfortable for
wait.
some.
Yeah, not for me. I'm a hugger. I'm so excited, but
That's me
yeah.
too. All right, we'll give it just like another minute or two. A lot of people I know
Okay.
that are joining in, my clients are real estate agents and in the real estate industry. And I can only say this because my family, my husband included, is in real estate. And I say they operate on Realtor Standard Time, which is usually 5 to 10 minutes late. So now you know
Very
where I come
prompt.
from.
Yeah, yeah.
I come by it naturally. For those of you that
Yeah.
don't know, I started in the real estate industry when I was 19 and I met my husband in real estate school. So that's a little fun fact. So I'm never on time to family functions. I'm never on time anywhere.
And
Yeah,
I'm
Greg.
15 minutes early. I'm the one that people are like, oh gosh, Ashley's already here. Like, why is she so early?
Yeah, and that is true. Greg just
Yeah.
mentioned, he said true. He's one of the clients. Yeah, Realtor Standard Time is a thing.
Oh boy,
So.
that's so funny.
Oh, if you're watching, just drop us a little a like or a heart or a angry face if you're angry that we're making you watch this at 11 o'clock on Thursday. Give us a thumbs up, something. Let us know you're here. I know I do have people mentioned that they would be joining in later, so that's totally fine too. Because like I said, this will be on YouTube and it'll be on IGTV later. So
Perfect.
be in all the places. So. All right. Well, I think I'm going to go ahead and start. And I'm going to start to you again. For those of you that were on earlier, this is Ashley Thompson of Ashley Creative Weddings and Events. And she is what's your title, Ashley? Creative Director?
Owner and creative director. Yes.
So she's the HBIC, the head babe in charge.
There we go. I like it.
I'm gonna give you her bio really quick so you know a little bit about her business and who she is, and then we're gonna jump right into some questions. And if you guys have any questions, just go ahead and ask. And if we can't get to them all, we'll try to get to them at the end. And if we can't answer them then, we'll answer them afterwards. So we're gonna get started. Ashley Creative Wedding and Events is a full-service event design and planning studio creating one of a kind events and experiences for the trendiest of couples. Ashley specializes in understanding her client's vision and completely customizing all of the beautiful touches and timeless moments that reflect her couple's dream. She values the time spent with her clients and loves creating joyful, unique, and beautiful events for the couple and their guests to cherish for a lifetime. The Ashley behind Ashley Creative Weddings and Events is a Las Vegas native, born and raised. As a child, Ashley seemed to find any reason she could to bring friends together for a party, so it was no surprise when it came time for college that she headed to the University of Arizona, with one goal in mind: to start her own business as a wedding planner and designer. She successfully blended her education with doing what she loves most, celebrating love. Knowing her end goal a decade before she was ready to put it into action, Ashley climbed her way to success by starting the very bottom. From an intern to an on-site venue coordinator to a sales manager at a prestigious event design studio, Ashley is equipped with plenty of experience, great insight, and a wide range of event expertise. Her work has been featured on Martha Stewart Weddings, Inside Weddings, Style Me Pretty, Wedding Chicks, Inspired by This, Ruffled Blog, and more. So as you can see, Ashley is, when I told you she was my cousin, that's not the reason I brought her on here. I brought her on here because she is the best at what she does.
Oh, thank you.
We're just going to jump right into the questions if you're okay with that, Ashley.
Sounds good. I'm excited. Thanks for having me.
Okay, so we talked about who the Ashley is behind Ashley Creative just a little bit, but tell us a little bit more about yourself. What do you do when you aren't planning these magnificent weddings and baby showers? Because it's not just weddings. These are also other events that you do. Personally, for our family, we're spoiled by these magnificent brunches, but I know that those aren't really the things you do for outsiders. But everything you do has such attention to detail. So what do you do when you aren't planning events? Tell us a little bit about yourself personally.
Well, as you touched on before we got really started into the interview, I have a 10-week-old newborn who's actually crying in the background. I'm sorry if you can hear him. So he's taking up a lot of my extra time outside of planning weddings and events. But other than that, I love spending time with family. As you mentioned, brunch. I'm a huge brunch fan. Anywhere you can find, a great breakfast spot, I'm in. And then, every time I have an opportunity to go out of town that's not for work, we're going up to Utah to go snowboarding or to just enjoy some really nice weather, going to Southern California, visiting some sorority sisters, or just plain old relaxing. Sometimes after you work a really long event, the most, enjoyable, rewarding thing is getting in the bath with a glass of wine and reading a book. So those are some of my favorite things to do other than planning events.
Well, and it looks luxurious for you to go to all these fantastic destinations, but people don't realize you don't get to enjoy the wedding. You're working the wedding.
Yeah, it's very rare that I'll actually, for instance, I did a wedding in Carmel Valley, California last year, and we got to go. It ended up being such a short trip, but it makes me want to go back and really enjoy it because I get to do some really cool events in cool places. And like you said, time is of the essence and I'm working most of the time, but to extend a day or two, I just might every once in a while just to see some of these cool places I get to go to.
Do these places ever reach out to you and say, hey, we want you to come check it out and see what it's like so that you can refer or, offer it to the brides that may not know about it?
Yeah, so I actually attend a luxury wedding conference every year and I get to meet a lot of people, globally in the luxury wedding business. So there are a lot of venues there that I get to meet and, from all over. So getting to know those people and then talking to them and saying, I'd really like to do an event in your space, or at least share with my couples that it's an option. Sometimes they'll even say, come on down, like come hang out, come get to experience the hotel or the venue yourself. So that way you can sell it better to your clients. And that's one of the perks of my job. I mean, it's such a cool thing that I get to do.
One of the ones I think that you may have been at one of those conferences was it in Banff?
Yes. Yeah.
And that is now in our family bucket list.
Honestly, the conference that I go to is truly a bucket list. I'm checking things off because of it, because, a lot of the times we're busy with our day-to-day life and aren't able to do these big extravagant trips. But if this conference is leading me there, then I'm going, and I might even bring my husband with me to say, hey, let's go enjoy this place. But yeah, it's brought me to Cayman Islands, the Bahamas, Banff. I got to go to Sea Island, Georgia, like places I would never, obviously would want to go, but I'm not able to. I mean, it's pretty cool.
That's awesome. And, touching on the fact that you have a 10-week-old baby, and I know from talking to you previously that you were going back to work fairly quickly after Blake was born, but we all know what happened. And so it's kind of been, I don't want to say a blessing in disguise, but a great opportunity for you to spend more time with Blake than you probably would have been able to. So to enjoy these couple of months with him. Am I wrong?
Right. No, 100%. You're so right. I talked to you in length about it as my cousin, just to
Yeah.
say, who is a mom, to say, I'm a little worried. Like, I am going straight into weddings. It's spring is our busy season, and fall. But I had, a handful of events that I was going to have to jump right into, not knowing that I don't, not knowing what having a newborn is like. So now that, unfortunately my schedule has cleared, I do have time with my newborn and my husband at home, just trying to figure out life and how this all works. So that way, when I am able to jump back into events again, I'll be ready to go.
That's awesome. So
Yeah,
that was, I'm trying to find little glimmers of goodness in all of
definitely.
this. And I think, from the outside looking in, what a blessing for you.
It
So,
really is. Yeah, I have to
um,
look at the bright side there.
how did you
Mhm.
decide that you wanted to start Ashley Creative Design and Events? Like, what was finally the catalyst for you to leave that really prestigious place that you were with and say, you know what, I'm ready to go out on my own. I've got this.
I feel like I'm a rare case, but let me back up a little bit. So my mom had always thrown me the most amazing, fun birthday parties that most kids would ever be able to experience. So I feel like I have like an ounce of her in me for just the creativity side of things, and that she always was doing something fun and unique, and it wasn't your cookie cutter birthday party that you would go to. One year I had a Spice Girls birthday, and we had like a karaoke machine. Just thinking of like different ways to just have fun with your friends. So I kind of knew early on that I really enjoyed creating fun parties for people. I mean, as you can attest, I do cookie decorating parties and Easter parties just because I want to and it's fun. So
Yeah.
I kind of went into my career that this is exactly what I want to do. It's just a matter of time for me starting my own business and going off on my own. But ultimately, I wanted to learn everything about the industry before I did start my own business, because I wanted to do it right. If I was going to do it at all, I was going to do it right. I wanted to learn every aspect from wedding planning itself, catering. I worked for, like you said, a design company. So I learned a lot of like the design elements and how load in and strike and setup all happens and how that works from an operations standpoint. So once I really felt like, okay, I feel like I couldn't learn anymore. I want to be able to go off on my own and just like let my light shine. That's when I decided, okay, it's time to start my website, build a logo, do all the things, get my business license, do those things. And then once I was ready to go, it was a gut punch. I was like, oh, I'm so nervous, but it was so worth it when I was like, okay, I'm ready to spread my wings and do this on my own.
So even though you went to college, you had a degree, and you realized that it was going to take more than just a degree to be able to do what
Mm-hmm.
you wanted to do. And I think that's what
Right.
I'm trying to stress to not just the people that are on here, but also today's generation. I find that a lot of people go to school, they get a degree, and they think, okay, I should just be ready to open a business, start a business, or just make a lot of money. And
Right.
unfortunately, the degree is fantastic. I try to explain to my son all the time, especially because like he's a summer baby. You
Mm-hmm.
start college at 17. This is like growing
Mm-hmm.
time. And
Mm-hmm.
then you have to pay your dues and work your way up. And
Right. It's something that is a bit unique to my age group, was that we graduated in 2011, right in the middle of the 2008 recession, where jobs weren't to be had. So, it was a struggle to jump into the workforce thinking that I was just going to be able to get a job and work full time and, work 40 hours and make a great salary. No, that wasn't the case for me. So it was a little bit of a struggle starting up, into my career, but obviously we had to do what we had to do. And I decided to take any job I could that would be willing to hire me. So when I was in Tucson school, my senior year, I thought, what better experience than to get an internship with a wedding planner to really see if this is something that I want to do. And then from there, continue and taking on jobs that I feel would kind of groom me to my own business. So at the time when I came back to Vegas after college, I actually worked for Angel Park Golf Course, and it was an assistant hourly job where I worked as I can't remember the title, I think it was event. I did golf tournaments, weddings, bar mitzvahs, bat mitzvahs, birthday parties, whatever it was. And it was really just catering, but I was able to see that side of it. And I only worked a couple hours a week, but I looked forward to every single Saturday when I knew that, oh, I have a wedding today. I'm so excited to like see what they designed and how the different parts of a wedding that I didn't quite know everything about yet. So yeah, it was kind of interesting.
That's awesome. So, when you first started, went out on your own, how did you, because that's scary, right? You're starting a business. And while you worked for this prestigious other company, they have a built-in clientele and years under their belt and repeat and referral, but now you are your own brand. And how do you go out and find clients?
Yeah, I mean, that was the scary part. It's like I was going from a salary job, 40 plus hours a week, to starting a business where I'm at ground zero. Like no one knows who I am yet. They know who I am as Ashley Thompson. They don't know who I am as Ashley Creative Weddings and Events. So I had to go out and build my brand. There's three things that I feel like really made me, or that motivated me and was able to get me clients that are of the caliber of what I wanted. And one of those things was building my relationships within the industry. Obviously, I knew a ton of people just because of the jobs that I'd worked previously, but continue to groom those relationships and make sure that you're still top of mind with those people. So, lunching, taking them out for coffee, just simple conversations over the phone to say, how can I partner? Let's just use a venue, for instance. How can I partner with you? What can I do to make your job easier with your clients? Just ask some questions. Honestly, I had that conversation with one of the venues that I work with very often now. And she said, I put you on my list unless I knew that, like you came at me and you were ready to go and I knew that you would have my back and I could have yours. So little things like that obviously really helped build my, my clientele. Another thing is hunkering down on social media. Obviously, we're in an age where that is super, super important. So the things that I put out though were things that I knew were of the caliber of the clientele that I want. So, even if I did an event that I'm not that I'm proud of, but something that I'm not really crazy about it, then I don't see those events. You do see the different things that I'm, really wanting for in a clientele or to do in an event. And then the last thing is saying yes to absolutely everything that I could, as long as it aligned with my brand. So something that we do often in the wedding industry is do styled shoots. And these are just really just honestly fake weddings where we partner with a photographer, a florist, a decor company, and we create this fake wedding to just showcase our talents and our creative side to be able to do something that more aligns with our brand, or something that we're just like, oh, I really want to create this tablescape, but I don't have a client to do it. Let's shoot it and get some content to go, to put on social media. And then that way clients are seeing that and saying, okay, yeah, that's the aesthetic that I want. So I want to hire Ashley. Those are the key things.
Well, and I've seen your Instagram, and I think that's probably where you're most prevalent. But if you look at your Instagram, there is a very clear design aesthetic. I think that somebody who's looking at your Instagram can very easily see, like, this is her niche, if you will. This is what she's really good at. And I found it interesting because we're in the spring now. I was looking at the spring, and then you could see just ever so subtle difference between winter and fall, and then summer, but it's ever so slight, like a little bit, maybe darker colors, but not really. It's not, and it's designed very well. So it's very obvious if someone's looking for that type of wedding, the person to go for, go to.
And honestly, it takes a lot of time, as you know, like as anyone knows, social media, because it's almost your portfolio. You know what I mean? So every single post matters. Everything you do needs to be consistent. Whether that's posting once a day, if that's something that you want to do, or if it's posting a story of what your day-to-day life looks like, just making sure that people know who you are and who you are as a brand, because for me, relationship with my clients is personal. I'm working with people for more than over a year, sometimes 200 to 300 hours I'm spending on one wedding. So, making sure that people like me for me is important, because you're almost marrying me at this point, when you're planning a wedding.
Well, and that goes in all businesses. I am one of the sayings that I say most often is people do business with people they know, like, and trust. So you might as well be your authentic self, because in any relationship, they're going to figure out who you really are eventually. You can only keep up a fake front for so long. Like eventually a cuss word's going to slip out of my mouth. I try to be professional 100% of the time, but it's going to happen. And so, and it doesn't make me not as good as at my job. It's who I am. You're going to find out eventually that I call my kid Turtle, and that's weird, but that's what we do, So
yes, exactly.
You either like me and you trust me, and you get to know the real me. And if those three things align, then we've got a great working relationship.
Exactly.
And I can imagine in a wedding, people are incredibly stressed, and they have to be able to trust you tremendously. And they really have to like you. So I 100% agree with that. Piggybacking on how you first went about finding clients, I would think that that's changed now, because you have more referral business or repeat business. Maybe couples that were married are now, because baby showers aren't like when I had a son. Like, they are now
so over the top.
It's a gender reveal. It's a baby shower. It's a sip and see. It's it just goes on and on. But so you have more repeat and referral clientele, and that's changed. But what innovative ways are you finding new business today specifically? How are you approaching that in today's environment? And do you see that drastically changing because of the pandemic? Do you see that changing going forward?
Yeah. So again, kind of going back to the social media and marketing standpoint, staying top of mind is so important right now, because for one, people are bored. Let's be honest. They're sitting at home, and if they do have a job and they're blessed to have a job right now, then that is great. That's taking up a large amount of time. But what are you doing in your downtime? You're scrolling through social media, you're talking to friends. So it's super important for me and what I'm doing in my business to stay on top of it and stay relevant and stay on top of mind. And obviously keeping light of what is going on in our world right now. Obviously we want to approach it in a way that's not negative. Maybe on my personal account, I might say, gosh, this sucks. But on my business account, putting a positive twist on everything. I don't think anyone needs any more negativity right now. So staying on top of course, like I said before, relationships. So checking in on my people, checking in on the venues that I'm working with, the different creative partners that, like my florist friends, they don't have any business right now. So just saying hi, dropping them a gift, just doing those things that, make people feel good, or, just talking about future events together, things like that. I think that's been super important for me just in this time.
One of the things that we actually started at WFG was a virtual happy hour on Fridays. And you strolled by one day when we were having one. But it's a way to get together with our clients, because we can't, and just communicate, talk about what's going on the week. And some of it might be a little bit of business, but for the most part, business, it's, hey, have a good time. And you know what? It's safe. Nobody's driving,
Exactly.
Front courtyard talking to a computer, and I'm sure my neighbors think I'm absolutely crazy, but it's great. So it's just a lighthearted stay in front of people, and again, like you said, it's top of mind.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm doing the same thing for my end too. I'm a part of the Wedding International Professionals Association. I actually sat on the board a couple years back. We did a virtual happy hour, and it strictly was not business related. Yeah, we might have touched base on a couple of things that, you know, people had questions about, but other than that, it was really just to see each other. And so, you know, if I'm able to make any of those meetings, I'm in, because staying top of mind, staying relevant, and yeah, I think that's super important.
Well, and again, I think so many people get sucked into the negativity, and
Mm-hmm.
their natural inclination is to become more introverted and
Yeah.
to revert and, you know, to the safety of whatever that is, and
Right.
not be there and not be present because they're sad, they're scared, they're lonely, they're depressed, they're whatever. And I think, again, with that slingshot, if we are top of mind, if we're present, if we're staying engaged, it's only going to propel us that much more forward. So a
Mm-hmm.
lot of our competition is staying complacent, or doesn't know what to do, or is just scared into paralysis.
Mm-hmm.
So the more
Mm-hmm.
we can do those things, I think the better it will propel our business forward once we can all do business again.
Right.
Um,
Absolutely.
one of the questions that I had is, I know firsthand that you've designed some pretty spectacular events, your wedding included. Um, but describe your dream client. We all have them. I could say
We
describe your
do.
nightmare client, but we won't talk about those. So tell me, you can pick a client and,
Uh-huh.
you know, draw them in a box. What does your dream client look like?
Well, you know, luckily I'm very blessed to have a fair amount of my dream clients right now. So I kind of pulled together some key things that what makes who they are, and it's kind of interesting. Obviously, I feel like the clientele I have, they're all deep in their careers. They're very, you know, into their careers. They don't have a lot of time to plan their wedding side. As you know, it could take a fair amount of time to plan a wedding. So they're looking for someone who they can trust and put, you know, all of their eggs in one basket with one person and say, you do your thing. Typically, they're in the 20 to 30, you know, late 20, early 30s range. Which I happen to be 30 right now. So they are, you know, in my general range. They like to travel on weekends. A lot of them are actually from big cities. So LA, Chicago, San Francisco, here in Vegas. And they're looking to get married in a big city or a destination. So either Vegas or destinations like Tahoe, Carmel Valley, Southern California, and places like that. So they're really looking to make their wedding not just a wedding, but a wedding weekend where friends can go and experience a different place that they like to travel to, and create a whole weekend out of it. As you know,
So
that's kind
that's
of what
an
I do
event.
my wedding. Yeah, yeah, it's an event. So, and then most importantly, my dream client is someone who trusts me with everything that I do. Some of the best weddings and most memorable weddings in my mind are weddings that my client, instead of fighting not fighting me, but just like challenging me every detail and saying, well, why this, but why don't we spend less on this? Or why do we spend more on this? And things like that. They just said, Ashley, whatever you think is best for me and to make vision come true, make it happen. And those are I'm like, oh, I really hit the jackpot with those
Just give me the
clients, and it
credit
really
card and let
shows.
me go.
And it's not, you know, it's not even that, like the amount of money spent. You know, they could just say, hey, my budget is this and it's this only. And I would say, okay, then I get to create a wedding based on that money and say, it really reflected that couple because I got to know them. And instead of going through the things that don't really matter, things that really do matter is making it an event that really reflects them, you know, them as a couple.
Mhm.
So that's my dream client.
That's awesome. Okay, so every business has to market and or advertise, right? We
Mm-hmm.
all do that. I would say my business really doesn't advertise to the consumer, which is one of the
Mm-hmm.
reasons that I kind of am starting this whole thing, and I'll explain more about that later. But what does that look like for you? Is it just social media? Because I haven't seen a billboard, I haven't seen a commercial yet. You know, so
Yeah.
is it, what does it look like for you?
So really, like, I mean, I've said it before, social media is number one, but I really spend $0 on advertising and marketing. there are options in the wedding industry to do that. That is the #1 website for planning weddings. Style Me Pretty. There's a bunch of different resources to advertise and get your name out there. But with my particular business, I want to stay boutique at only 8 to 12 weddings a year, or events, 8 to 12 events. And so with that, my process is really streamlined to make sure that my couples do align with my brand and vice versa. So really staying relevant on social media. And obviously I'm investing a lot of time in that. It's not a monetary thing, but it is time that I'm putting forward into social media. Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. And another thing on that is I want to make sure it's my voice and it's my, I easily could outsource that to give it to someone else and say, okay, run this, post this many times, do all of those things. But then you lose that voice. And that's kind of what I built my brand on, is saying, okay, you're not only booking Ashley Creative, you're booking Ashley Thompson. And so getting to know me and my personality is super important.
Well, and that's why you've had so many clients that align with exactly with what you're looking for, because they like you. And so in turn, they like you because you are like them. They're similar age, they live in similar cities, that type of thing. So I think that just marries well together.
Right. And in some businesses, people say, I don't want my clients becoming my friends. I want to separate business with pleasure. But for me, I think of it a little bit differently. And even some wedding planners are like this, they don't want to be friends with their couples. But I find it so fine that I'm able to do my job better when my client not only trusts me as a business person, but also as a friend. And then after the wedding, it's amazing because then we have this built-in friendship. And a few couples have said that. They're like, oh, Ashley, I forgot I paid her for the wedding. Like, she wasn't just my friend who planned my wedding, So I want to continue that and make sure that's still the most important things.
I love that. Let me see. One of the things you kind of touched on, but personally, I've had to be very mindful of everything I do, every letter I send, every post I make. It seems like everyone is in a hypersensitive state, and you certainly can't please everyone all the time. So do you find yourself feeling awkward marketing about weddings, which, let's face it, can be expensive, and expensive is relative. $100,000 wedding might not be expensive to some, where a $5,000 wedding is incredibly expensive. So with lots of people out of work, or even if money isn't an issue, they're having a hard time planning a wedding. They can't pick a date right now because they don't know when venues will be open, or families can't travel and things like that. So are you having a hard time marketing? Are you feeling awkward, or is it just about staying top of mind right now and you're not even trying to market to a wedding or events themselves?
Yeah, it's interesting. And I had to do a little bit of a shift, only because even with the posts that you place on social media, everything matters. What you're writing in captions, what you're putting out there. So obviously I'm trying to stay as mindful as possible for all, my entire audience. I think I have maybe 7,000 followers on Instagram. Not one of them is my client, my ideal client. But they are looking to me for wedding advice. So, giving people some key eyes on how you could be planning a wedding right now is something that I'm trying to really push forward. Some of the vendors that I'm working with are doing, like, Bridal Shop is doing a virtual try-on session, or venues are doing virtual walkthroughs, and just getting really creative with that kind of stuff. So I think it's my job as a wedding planner to push that information out for my fellow creatives, to say, hey, I'm here to support you. What can I help you? Because they're completely out of business right now. So kind of doing it, not really marketing myself, but just marketing other people, and also giving future brides and couples key, hints and ideas that could be planning their wedding right now.
So kind of educating them on what they can,
right,
so that
educating
they
them
can
on
still
how they
think
could
about
plan
it.
a wedding. Yeah,
Yeah.
or yeah, dream a little bit. Maybe get on Pinterest, and you might not be able to plan your wedding right now, but a couple years down the road, will start to clear up. Maybe you can go back to your Pinterest board that you built during the pandemic and say, oh, I still really love this, and I do to make this happen. But yeah, being a resource to couples right now, and then obviously staying visible and staying positive, I think, is the most important thing.
Okay. And you've touched on this a lot, but I want to go a little bit deeper. So you have incredibly personal relationships with clients. And
Mm-hmm.
I know that you've had to have some really difficult conversations with your couples.
Mm-hmm.
Can you maybe talk to the audience or the viewers about some of what your couples had to go through? Some of them who had weddings literally days away from when everything shut down, and some of them who had weddings planned since that have had to be canceled, postponed, because we've all had difficulties in our business since, but I can't imagine having to have some of the conversations that you've had.
Yeah, that's one thing that, you sign up for a job and you're super about it, but there's still the hard parts, and one of those is actually going through this right now. So one of my couples was actually to be married on March 1st at Red Rock. I think Governor Sisolak put out his press conference, I want to say the 19th, 18th, 19th, something around that time frame, to do the stay-at-home order. So we were stuck. Obviously my first and foremost thing is to be passionate and to be understanding for them, to just be their person that they could, a shoulder to cry on, because this sucks. Let's be honest. Like, they were just so upset, and I felt for them. So again, the friend aspect, to just be that person to talk to. So obviously I had to have some action items in place. I had to completely cancel their wedding, only because it had to happen so fast. We are now postponing their wedding. We do have a date in the fall for this year, but in that short amount of time, we had a large floral, amount of floral coming in for the thing, because again, it was only a couple days before, where we didn't have time to cancel that with the wholesaler. We didn't have time to, not have that product is coming out of LA into Las Vegas. It was already on its way here. So we had tons of flowers that were just going to go to waste. And so my florist that I was working with at the time, Javier Valentino, and the couple had conversations to say, what are we going to do? What are we going to do with all these flowers? At the time, obviously, hospitals were not able to get into, because that's the first thing that people typically do, is send it to hospitals or send it to nursing homes. Those are the two places that we really should not be if we don't have to be. So they actually sent all the flowers to a cemetery. And it was kind of crazy to see the amount of love that the couple got. And I'm so thankful they did, because, selfishly, they're like, gosh, this is all this flowers, and they were supposed to be at my wedding. What do I do with these? They did something so selfless, and was brought such a shining light and such a sad moment for them, that it gave them an opportunity to just kind of give them closure and be like, gosh, I'm glad that, right, that. So now obviously we have their date in September of this year. And then also just having those tough conversations about contracts. Contracts are really sticky right now, because a lot of us do have that clause where it says, acts of God, any of those things are non-refundable deposits are non-refundable. But then with a small business, you have that personal aspect that kind of makes you change your mind a little bit. I am working with a couple photographers, videographers, where they aren't able to accommodate the couple for their new date that they've chosen. And so they're fighting the battle of, do I keep this deposit because it does state it in my contract, or do I do the right thing that makes me feel like a better human to say, okay, I haven't done anything, I haven't provided you any service, then I'm going to give you your money back. So those conversations have been really, really tough, but just to try to be the liaison between the couple and the vendor. to just talk through our best options.
Yeah, that is hard. And one of the things that came up when I saw that the couple was putting the flowers, and it was actually at a children's cemetery, one of my friends reached out and said, I think they had a child who passed, and they thought that it was so they went out to go see. And so I always say Las Vegas is a big city, but it's a small town. And man, when you can see something like that, it is I mean, it's so
I know,
incredible.
I just got chills.
I know. It's so amazing.
Yeah. So, and I got permission from the couple to put that on my Instagram, and then Fox 5 News actually was able to pick it up. And with that, I was able to find someone who, again, same thing, had a child or a family member buried there. And they're like, gosh, this brought me to tears, but in such a good way. Like, this is so cool that you thought about us. So things like that, I really see our community coming together in ways that you'd never really expect. But, you got to look at the positive.
Finding those small little glimmers of hope or happiness or, things that we can do. And that's what I think we have to remember as we're going through this.
Right.
How do you think you will change your personal business going forward? Or do you think you will? Do you think you'll need to? Do you think that you'll have to set different expectations for your clients going forward? Because I know in my business, people will say, on the real estate side of things, in the title and escrow world, and people will say, is my house recorded? Is it closed when they sign their documents? And I say, it's not ever closed until it's recorded. It's not over till the fat lady sings. That's what I say, because inevitably I have had people pass away between signing and recording. I have had houses catch on fire, like you name it, it has happened. So but I would imagine in your industry, like you typically don't have those things happen.
Right. But things happen.
But now you're having. So will you set the tone, and, will things change?
Right. Yeah. I mean, obviously those are going to be, I think, like you said, nothing is really going to go back to the same way it was before. So I think a lot of the times couples are going to talk about that proactively to say, well, what happens if this happens again? Or, what do we do if we have to move our wedding? So again, just being that point of contact for them, just talk through those things and really make them feel confident that they've hired someone who's going to walk them through it in a successful way. I think that is conversations that we're probably going to have more often than not. As far as like my contract goes, I don't foresee me adding like a pandemic clause or things like that, just because, like I said, there's that personal element. I think that it's kind of strange with a wedding planner and how we run. When someone first signs a contract with us, we're doing a lot of that front end work right away. So we're onboarding our clients into a system. We're working on budgets, checklists, timelines, design, all of these things that really take time and hours out of our day. So that deposit is really used. We're getting paid for the time that we're working. But, for other people within the industry, I think that a lot of people are going to put that clause in and say, well, I can't go through this again financially, or I can't, we've got to figure out another way to do this. But I think we're all going to be pretty much pros at this point of how to move a wedding within only a couple days or a couple months. So.
Well, and one of the things that I was just thinking is, it will be one of the tools in your arsenal of going forward, those that have been through this, and then there will be new people who have not. And that will make you even more of an expert in your field. Because the people who did not weather this storm will not, and hopefully we never have to again. But like you said, you will know how to move a wedding in 3 seconds.
Yeah. And I tell my clients very candidly, like, I don't know. I only know as much as right now from a government standpoint of what it's going to look like, within the next couple months. But I'm doing my best to walk you through this in a way that is seamless. is stress-free. I want to take on that the bricks that you're wearing on your back, in your backpack on your back, and just take them on myself. That way you still have a beautiful wedding experience, because hopefully you only do this once, So I want to make sure that you're still celebrating life and love in the way that you should. One thing that I'm actually doing for my couples that have moved their wedding date, I had one that was actually set to be April 18th. So last Saturday, I sent them a little cake, a wedding cake. I sent them a bottle of champagne and some macaroons. And I said, today is a day to be celebrated, whether it's your wedding day or not. So put on your fancy clothes, have a date night and celebrate it. And then we move forward and we look at your next wedding date as just as celebratory as April 18th. So, I think obviously, again, we said it over and over. I think it's just staying positive for people.
If it was me, that would just mean 2 anniversary gifts every year.
Yeah, I mean, let's be real. We get gifts, twice a year. Let's do
it. Okay. We've talked about a bunch of positive things that we personally learned during the time. So I think that we've covered that question. But let's flash back. It's day 1 of Ashley Creative, right? Mm-hmm. So it's a while
now. A scary day.
It's a very scary day. But knowing what you know now, what is one thing or the one thing that you would do differently, if anything?
The one thing I would do differently is tell myself to be patient, because starting a business it takes time. And one thing I was really fighting with myself over was, as you guys know, at this point, I started as an intern when I was in college and worked 10 years in the industry before I started my business. So in my mind, I thought, gosh, business should be coming in right away because I've been in the industry for 10 years, but the Ashley Creative brand was only days old. So I had to give my brand the time to build. And as much as I told myself, be patient, be patient, be patient, it is truly the one thing that you have to do. Starting a business is not easy. It's something that takes time. So, and even, every day is something new for me. Every day I come up with a new procedure or process that makes my business better. So I don't ever see my business being like, okay, stamp, I'm done. It's perfect. It will never be perfect because we're always striving to do better. But I think that patience is the number one key to being successful.
Well, and that was kind of when I was coming up with the concept, because I always wanted to have this interview series with somebody. I wasn't sure who and I wasn't sure how, and then this came to light. And when I came up with PAID, the Pivot, Adapt, Innovate Daily, it's not just now during this pandemic. It will always be, because like you said, Absolutely. In every business, there's constant room for improvement. There's constant, whether it was the Great Recession, whether it was 9/11, whether it was, interest rates on my side in the 80s were 18%. Yep. You're constantly having to evolve in your business, whether it's, regulatory changes or, economic changes or just procedural or, social media wasn't a thing when I first started in the business, and now it is. Right. So I had to adapt to all of those things. So this will always be something that businesses have to do, because if they don't, they will die. Right. If businesses don't adapt, if they don't innovate, they will die. So this is always something that we can all learn from each other, and for you to give that advice is such great advice for like my lenders and my real estate agents that are brand new. They think that real estate's easy, right? You just tell someone you're a real estate agent, you just sell a house. It's not that hard. You just do the loan. But again, they have to develop their own personal brand, and they have to get people to trust them. So that is excellent advice. And I still tell myself every day, be patient, Chanel. I know you've been in the business for 20 years, but be patient because things are changing right now. So I've had to pivot.
Right.
What's something you'd like the viewers to know, something that everyone who is hiring or thinking about hiring an event planner should know, but maybe they don't know to ask, because people don't know what they don't know?
I think most importantly, having conversation like earlier. I mean, if you are hiring a full service planner, you're spending a lot of time with that person, whether that's in an email, over the phone, text messaging, or in-person meetings when we're able to do that. And so making sure that you really vibe with that person and get each other and understand each other. It's not, you know, most people that you hire for anything, you don't spend as much time with them. So getting to know them as a person, I think, is super important. And then also just making sure that they're educating you, and whoever you hire for an event planner, making sure when you get on that call with them for your initial phone call, just talk through every question that you have and making sure that they really know what they're talking about, so that you feel confident moving forward to say, okay, I'm putting my wedding in your hands and I trust that they're going to be able to execute the wedding that I want. So just like any company that you hire, making sure that you feel confident with how they are as a person and how they would handle any issues, I think is a key thing too.
Awesome. And then the last question for you, and then I just have something quickly that I want to leave the audience with, but what is the best way for the viewers, the audience, if they are looking for someone to plan their wedding, plan their daughter's wedding, plan their son's wedding, plan their bat mitzvah, you know, they're having an epic brunch when this is all over, but they need your services. What is the best way for them to reach you, to learn more about you, to follow you? Where are you?
Sure. So my website is ashleycreativeevents.com. My Instagram, like I said, is my portfolio. So go ahead and check that out at Ashley Creative. And please feel free to reach me via phone. As you can see on the screen, 702-994-9957. And then my email address is ashley@ashleycreativeevents.com.
That's awesome. And then lastly, I just wanted to let the audience know, I am in the real estate space on the title and escrow side. Most people don't know what title insurance is, but it is it's a function of whether you're buying a home, selling a home, or refinancing a home. I work at WFG National Title. So if you are thinking about refinancing a home, please reach out to me. I can refer you to several great lenders. I work with I work with many lenders all across the valley. And even if you're outside of Las Vegas, I can still assist you with that. If you're thinking about buying or selling a home, I work with many fantastic agents, and I can help. I always like to think of myself as like Match.com. I'm really good at matching people with great agents that, kind of like Ashley said, you know, that kind of work with your vibe. And again, it doesn't have to be just here locally in Las Vegas. And when you are choosing to work with a loan officer for your refinance, you get to choose the title company. So tell them that you want to work with Chanel Beller at WFG, and I can assure that you will have fantastic service and be taken care of. And that's what I'm going to leave you with today. Next week, I'm really excited to have Katie with Cupcakes. If you don't know that business, they are phenomenal. And if you have any questions, you reach us. My name is Chanel Beller with WFG National Title. You can reach me at 702-510-9810, or my email address, cbeller@WFG National Title, or my Facebook page that you're on right now. That's my business page, my personal page, YouTube, and I am on Instagram at Chanel number 5. And thanks so much, Ashley.
Thank you for having me. I loved this.
All right. And we'll see you again soon. All right, you guys, have a great Thursday and enjoy this beautiful weather. Bye.